What's up everyone, this is Noracat back again, and today we are going to be going over a deck that I have created for the game Duel Masters, which is a trading card game that has been out for a very long time, but the popularity has kind of ceased here in the West, and it's still actually very popular in Japan. And it's a game that I played a lot as a kid, but I've recently gotten back into it because some of my friends have started playing it, mainly some of the people that I have been playing Magic the Gathering with. So I've actually been trying to acquire some cards. Have a friend who has around 4,000 cards, so I've been trading and stuff like that to get some of the cards for him. So expect a little bit of Duel Masters on this channel as well, along with the usual fighting games and Magic and things like that. Right, so let's get into the deck that we're going to be talking about today. This is like probably my strongest deck that I have currently. This is my Miss Rias deck, and it revolves around Miss Rias Sonic Guardian, which is basically like a really good draw power engine in the game. The deck is light and nature. I'm not gonna go over like how to play the game. If you don't know how to play the game, then you can definitely find some tutorials on YouTube on how to play it. But I'm just gonna go over the deck here. This is mainly like a mid-range deck. It's not complete. There's a lot of things about it that could be better. Like, for example, that I don't own any rumbling terror horns. Also that I don't own a lot of the other cards that could make the deck better. So consider this kind of a version 1 of the deck. And also the deck list will be in the description if you guys want to recreate the deck, or if you guys want to, take some inspiration from it if you want to build your own Miss Rias deck. So let's get into it. So first off, we've got Poisonous Mushroom. This card is mainly in here for two reasons. Because number one, it's a really good 2-drop because it ramps you to turn 4 very quickly. So if you're on turn 2 and you play this guy, you get to basically put another card into your mana zone from your hands, and then next turn you get to play another card in your mana. Then you'll have 4 cards on turn 3 in your mana zone, which means you can drop things like a Kolon The Oracle or maybe a Magris or something to get back in the game and accelerate you, which also means that on turn 4 you're going to be dropping Miss Rias, which is what you are trying to do. You can even drop a Khamilia The Enticer on turn 3 as well with this guy. So very strong card. We are running a full playset of Poisonous Mushroom, and the reason we are running this guy over something like Fairy Life, for example, is that Fairy Life is not a creature, so it won't trigger Miss Rias to draw cards. So if we have Miss Rias playing with Poisonous Mushroom, we actually get to draw a card, and then we can put the card that we drew into mana, for example. So very nice, just to get some more going. The next card we are running is 3 Quixotic Hero Swine Snouts, and this is basically like the premier 2-drop of the game, maybe aside from like Gonta. Because Gonta is a 2 mana 4k, this guy is a 2 mana 1k, but he gets plus 3000 power whenever another creature enters the battle zone. So whenever you play a creature, he gets plus 3000 power. Whenever an opponent plays a creature, he gets plus 3000 power, and it doesn't end. So if they play 2 creatures, he's going to be 7000 and so on. So if you play a lot of creatures, he's going to get big. So he's actually really annoying to deal with. He's a very good, combine this guy with like Holy Awe or Kolon. You can like play Kolon, tap a creature. He gets buffed up by 3000. You can kill the creature. He's just a really strong card. I'm very happy to have 3 of them acquired because it's a very good card in a deck like this. So I really recommend running it if you're building a nature kind of aggressive deck. Next up, we got 1 copy of Essence Health, and I do have 4 of these guys, but I've just put 1 in here. This is just to kind of make our spells a little bit cheaper. The 1-off is kind of a nice tech thing where you can actually get them out pretty early, and you can start like discounting some of your spells. I think that instead of running 4 Quixotic, I think running a single Essence Health is actually kind of useful, because we do run Holy Awe and we do run Natural Snare in the deck, so being able to discount that dose by 1 is actually kind of useful to being like a 5-drop instead. So very nice card. Next up, we got a full playset of Bronze Arm Tribe, because of course you want to run Bronze Arm in a deck like this. Bronze Arm is just the best turn 3 play you can have, maybe aside from like Hawkers. He's like the premier free draw of the game. I'd say he's probably better than Hawkers, because Hawkers is obviously great, but Bronze Arm to get you from 3 mana to 5 mana on next turn is really strong. You play this guy turn 3, next turn you play a mana, and then you're up to 5 mana because this guy gave you another mana, so he's a really, really strong card. Really just, you really can't play Nature without Bronze Arm Tribe. It's really just that good of a card. And of course you can run a full playset of that guy. Next up we got kind of a funny card here. This is basically our Bronze Arm Tribe 5 and 6. So it's a Muscle Charger. It gives all your creatures in the battle zone plus 3000 power until end of turn. And then it's got Charger, so it goes into your mana zone once you are done with it. So again, playing this on turn 3 is going to get you turn 5 on next turn, so you can play Magris. No, excuse me, not Magris. You can play play your 5-drops. Guided Rush your card. The whole deck is named after. I can't remember the name. You can play your 5-drops a turn earlier, basically. Mr. Rias, I don't know why I couldn't remember that, but you get to play Mr. Rias a turn earlier. This card isn't seen a lot. I really like it because if you play like a Holy Ore or something, you can play Muscle Charger, buff up all your creatures, and then kill all your bonus creatures after the Holy Ore, or even something like Kolon. Like I said, you can actually just completely ruin your opponent's day with a card like that. And sometimes you just play it on turn 3 just to get you to the 5 mana next turn if you don't have your Bronze Arm ready. Next up, we got 2 copies of Khamilia The Enticer. You're supposed to be playing Rumbling Terrorhorn, but I've actually noticed that this does actually make a bit of a difference as well, even though it doesn't trigger as fast as Rumbling Terrorhorn. You have to wait a turn to find a card, and you have to wait another turn to play the card. I still think that it's an alright card, just because you can keep activating it, and if you got some blockers, you can defend Khamilia, which we do have some blockers in the deck, so it isn't completely useless. There are some things you can do with it, but very good to have some tutors as well when you're playing a deck like this. And then finally, to round out the nature section, we have a full playset of Natural Snare. Now you could run something like Terror Pit here as like a splash, just to have some more efficient removal, but I do like running Natural Snare instead. It's not because I don't have 4 Terror Pits or anything, but it is a pretty good card. It's just a 6 mana shield trigger, and it puts any creature on the battle zone that your opponent controls into their mana zone. So it's a pretty good way to kind of deal with some of the bigger threats that that you can't tap down and kill, and that you can't like deal with any other way. So pretty good card. And that's going to round off the nature section. We are running 20 of each card, like 20 of each so we got 20 nature cards, 20 light cards. Now we're going to go into the light section. First we have Vess The Oracle. You can play any blocker in this spot. I like it because it's a 1-drop, so it synergizes really well with Rias because you get to play it cheaply to draw a card. You can play Rias turn 5, and then turn 6 you can draw a mana. Play like 2 of these if you have 2 of them. I only run 2, but you can play this in like an Emerald Grass, you can play this in a Quixotic, you can draw a lot of cards, so very strong. Then we got 3 Emerald Grass, and it's just a good blocker. It's not quite as efficient as something like Bloody Skeeto, but on the plus it can attack creatures, which is nice because the light blockers can do that. But you can run a lot of other things here. I just really like the having a little bit of defense against those rush decks. I do enjoy having a little bit of sustainability against some of the faster decks. So we do run 3 Emerald Grass as well. Then we got Magris Vizier Magnetism. This guy is basically just, you play him and you get to draw a card. So he's basically like Aqua Hocus, but for 1 more mana, and he's in light. So since we don't have access to Hocus because we're only playing light nature, he is the next best thing. He's also Initiate. We don't have any evolution creatures in this deck, but if you want, there's a lot of, what's really good is this, he's Initiate, so all the evolution creatures, he's really good bait for that. So you can definitely use him for that, but we do want 3 of him, just for some extra card draw. And some extra, an extra 4-drop so that we can play him after Poisonous Mushroom, for example. Next up we have 2 Kolons, and this is just in here to again sustain some of the aggro in the deck. When he comes into play, you get to tap an opponent creature in the battle zone, and then he also has shield trigger, so you can, if you trigger him in the shield, he comes out for free and does a little bit of havoc. There's actually quite a bit of shield triggers in this deck, so it does actually help with the survivability. I'd say the matchup against aggro with this deck is actually okay, or rush, because you do actually have some ability to sustain yourself against those kind of decks. Then we have Rias Sonic Guardian, which is like what the whole deck is based on. And we are running a full playset of him, and he's just a super strong card. He comes out turn 5, turn 4, even earlier than turn 5, and he can actually start netting you so much card advantage, because it's just whenever a creature comes into the battle zone, it doesn't matter what side it's on, if it's on your opponent's or yours, you get to draw a card. It's a May effect as well, so if you're about to take yourself, you can just choose not to draw. It's just a really, really strong card. The only downside is that he's got only 2000 power. There is a card in this game, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a free cost light creature, and it just makes all your light creatures plus 2000 more on your opponent's turn. That's something that I need for this deck. I wasn't able to get my hands on any of them, but and I can't remember the name of the card right now, but that is something that you should consider if you're building a Misreaders deck. It's definitely those cards. But we do run a full playset of him, as that is what the whole deck is based on. Then we got kind of a fun tech card here. We got a Boomerang Comet, and what this card does is that it's a shield trigger first off, and then secondly it makes you take a card from your mana zone back to your hand, and then it replaces the card, so it goes into your mana zone when it's used. So it's kind of like a charger. It's an expensive charger at 6 mana, but it's basically a charger. So you get to get back anything you want. If you put a Rias in the mana zone, if you put like a Quixotic or a Kolon or something in the mana zone early, you can get it back and you can use it to tap something in the battle zone or get another Rias in the battle zone or anything like that. So it's a very, very good card. I think it's underrated. I don't think it's quite as good as like something like Holy Awe, of course, but normally I would run Thrash Crawler in a place like this, or even something like Flood Valve, just to get back something in mana zone, but those are blue cards, or those are water cards, and like I said, we're only playing Nature Light, so we don't have access to any of those cards. So this is the next best thing, I'd say. There's another card that gets back spells from your mana zone, but it says any card. So since the deck is mainly creatures, this is actually a really good thing. You obviously really want to play it for 6 mana, but Shield Trigger is really strong, and you get to play that for free, so that's always good. And then finally, we gotta have the 4 Holy Ores, because Holy Ore is Holy Ore. You can't really go wrong. It can save you from getting killed in a pressured situation. You can use it to tap all your opponent's creatures and then kill them. You can use it to tap all your opponent's creatures and then go in for the kill. You can, get saved by it when you're about to die from a shield trigger. It can completely turn the game around. It is the worst thing. It is your opponent's worst nightmare to see in your shields, and it is a really hard card to play around. Even if you are having a deck that is, or if you are like an experienced player, it can be really difficult to play around Holy Ore correctly. So generally, I'd say that this card is just crazy. There's if the last shield is Holy Ore, there's not much the opponent can do. He has to just kind of deal with it. But again, Holy Ore, just such a good card. Some people run 2 Holy Ores, or 3 or something. I think this deck, the 4th, is very necessary because it does actually hose aggro decks and rush decks kind of hard. So that is definitely why we run that. So yeah, guys, that has been my Rias deck. I might make another video showing off my Water Fire deck, which is also kind of a work in progress because I need to get my hands on some Crystal Paladins, which I don't have right now. So I'm substituting Crystal Paladin with Crystal Lancer, which is a way worse card in a deck like that, but it's still an alright finisher for the deck. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.